Hi, how's it going?
All right, I'm Art Crandall.
And I'm Art Crandall. That must mean it's Cooking with the Crandalls. All right, so we've been doing this for about 5 years.
That's right.
So what we want to produce, for those people that haven't seen the show before, is a collection of like the greatest items that we've ever made on the show.
Yeah,
that we feel.
At
least a bunch of good ones.
That's right.
So anyway, my father, for those who don't know, he was the first one to take home ec in his high school due to Title IX. Got an A.
I did.
Passed with an A, one of few kids. Two guys?
There was 2 guys in my class.
2 guys, and he was bragging about it constantly for that one.
Beat a lot of the girls out.
But anyway, and that's, you've been cooking in the kitchen with your mom and just, just background kitchen status.
Right. So I was one of those people that, I was the firstborn, so my mother always took me to babysit in the kitchen. So that's how I started learning cooking and appreciating it. And of course, this is my son, Art Crandall, and he's gone to a renowned culinary institute and graduated a couple degrees and basically graduated with honors. Mm-hmm. So between the two of us, I know how to cook. He knows how to cook. But he knows how to cook with all the fancy terms.
Yeah, so we're going to, I'm going to teach my dad and the audience how to cook while we cook in front of you.
Right.
All right, so today, one of the best items that I think I've ever prepared on this show is the chicken and shrimp in a vodka cream sauce.
Oh, that was absolutely
Now I'm going to bring that back today, and I'm actually going to add penny over it. Last time we served it, we didn't add any pasta. So what I have done is pre-cook some pasta, put it aside, cooled it down.
Yeah.
We're going to add the pasta at the end, and the pasta is going to heat up into the concoction. You'll see it, trust me.
Nice.
And I'm also going to release one of my culinary recipes secret. It's been secret for 5 years that we've been on the show, never been released. Yeah. I'm going to make my own white chocolate raspberry cheesecake.
Ooh, that sounds good.
What do you have lined up for us
Well, I'm
today?
actually going to jump into one of my favorite recipes. It must be a pasta type of day today. So the old Gramp used to have a Olio and Olla. And what we basically did was, it's called an oily spaghetti. And oily spaghetti is one of those things where you cook some garlic and you put some stuff in it and sprinkle it over spaghetti.
Yep.
Well, I'm going to make a Primevera, if you will, Olio today.
All right.
So I'm going to use a lot of the vegetables and a little bit of protein in there.
Yep.
Make it vegetarian.
I noticed you have a baguette over there, too?
I do, and I'm going to make an appetizer, which is the kind of like a bruschetta.
Okay. Kind of like a homemade Crandall Bruschetta. We'll show you how to do it. And that's how we do it on the show. We like to keep it simple so that the kids at home and anybody else can do it themselves.
That's right.
If we can't do it, we're not going to show you how to do it.
And it's fancy. And it's fancy, but it's simple. So let's get started.
All right, let's get started. So the first thing we're going to do, because it takes the longest, is we're going to make the white chocolate raspberry cheesecake. Now, I already have 3 packages of cream cheese. Now, you're going to get 3 of the 8-ounce packages, cream cheese. Any one will do. I chose the one with less fat in it.
Okay.
Just my choice.
Yep.
Got to stay healthy sometimes.
That's right.
All right. So you're just going to put the 3 in there.
What I'll do right now is I'm going to cut up a couple cloves of garlic, because what I want to do is to get some oil on the in the frying pan. And what we'll do is we'll saute some garlic, a little pinoles or pine nuts, and then we'll start throwing in some other things such as florets of broccoli, little sun-dried tomatoes, maybe some raisins. Maybe some of this, some of that,
Oh, yeah.
And then what we'll do is we'll put that, and I've took the liberties of cooking up some spaghetti. Actually, angel hair pasta. A lot of people like that.
Oh, yeah.
So, and then what we'll do is we'll sprinkle all of that whole concoction over the spaghetti, and then put a little Parmesan or Romano over it, and that'll be good. So that's the game plan.
Okay. Now, as opposed to any other cheesecake recipe that you'll find, I like to put fresh raspberries into the mixture, whereas most of them will keep it as part of the raspberry sauce. Okay. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to take that and mix in 3 eggs.
Okay.
All right.
Now, you know, this garlic is not really cooperating. The garlic cloves, they're sticking a little bit. But what I want to do is to take them and just slice them. Basically, what kind of slice is that called? Just a.
You're gonna mince them?
No, I'm just.
Or are you gonna finely
like
chop them?
Nope, just kind of slice them like that.
Okay.
Like almost a julienne, or not quite a julienne, but a.
No, the julienne is the dice. It's the strips.
Okay.
The 1/8 inch by an 1/8 inch by 2 to 3 inches.
This is called just a regular.
It's just a vici or a rough chop.
Okay.
A vici is when you cut something on its side.
Okay.
Like vegetables for a soup.
Oh, okay. So this will be a cut vici, and that's how we're cutting the garlic clove. And you notice what's happening is I don't want to cut it too fat or too thin because I want it to saute evenly on this. And so that's what we'll be doing. You can never have too much garlic, in my opinion. It'll be just a perfect type of cut.
Yeah, just the perfect type of cut. Now, what I'm going to do to this is actually just add a cup of sugar and a 1/4 cup of flour to this. Okay.
Now I'm going to cut my florets of broccoli. You don't have to be real fancy. I don't want a lot of the stems either. So I've already took the liberties of washing these. And then I'm just going to take them, and basically it's a lot of prep work, but it's not a lot of prep work.
I get exactly where you're coming from. Now, all I'm going to do is start mixing it together. Now, some people like to do it, just 1 egg at a time. I say it makes no difference. As soon as you start mixing them in, it starts getting mixed.
Okay. Now, the interesting thing is I'm gonna take the liberties and put some of this. I put some oil in the pan. It's been a little bit of preheated. I don't want to put too much. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to start out with the garlic, and then we have the pinoles or the pine nuts. I'm going to throw those in. Now, I don't want to brown them per se, or get them crunchy or anything. I just want to put them in to let them kind of like marinate and get the flavor, because then we're going to put in some basil and parsley and oregano.
Okay. All right.
Now, the basil is a little bit of an anise flavor. Did you notice that?
Yep, it's a light licorice flavor, the anise, actually.
Yeah. That's kind of interesting because the parsley and the oregano and the basil, those are more, and the garlic, of course, are what we associate with the Italian spices.
Absolutely, so, yeah.
They always go good. So what I'm going to do right now is I've started my pan with the oil, and I'm just going to put that in right now and let that cook. And then I'll also put the timing on it for the pinoles. I want some pinoles in there.
Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely. Now what you're going to see right here is that the raspberries are starting to mash into the mix. Okay. So I'm just going to keep stirring that while you have your mixture on the stove.
Okay. I'm going to measure out, real fancy type of measure, a little bit of parsley, a little bit of basil, and a little bit of the oregano. Now, you don't want too much basil because a lot of people, like I said, they don't like the anise flavor. But the oregano is a pungent type of flavor.
Yeah.
You know? All right, so I'm putting this in there. One of the things is I've actually taken some julienne dried tomatoes.
There you go. Now that's right.
Yeah. Now, Graham Scolio I said to him one time, I said, "Hey, have you ever had any of these dried tomatoes?" And he looked at me right in the eye and he goes, "Not for about 60 years."
Just a little long.
Yeah, and he's like, "How do you think we preserve things in the old days?"
Exactly.
So, kind of cute.
All right. Now, if we wanted to make our own graham cracker crust for the cheesecake, all we need is 2 cups of graham crackers, crushed, quarter cup of butter, and of course just a quarter or 3 teaspoons of sugar in that. And what we do is we just mash it in the pan. If you have a 9-inch springform pan, you could use that, or if you have an aluminum foil bowl like I had available, I just use that instead.
Okay.
Now we're going to set the oven to 300 degrees and cook it for 1 hour. Now if you're using the aluminum pan, you're actually going to cook it for a little bit longer than that.
Yep.
Just because that's how it works. The aluminum actually, it's a conductor, but it doesn't cook as well as you'd think.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Because the heat doesn't seep through it as well.
So what I'm doing here is I'm trying to combine now the garlic and the cloves of garlic, and I've thrown in some baby carrots in here. And so the baby carrots will go in. I've got actually some raisins to sweeten it up, along with the colorful sun-dried tomatoes.
Oh yeah.
So that'll be really nice.
Okay, excellent. Now what you're going to do is grab a little bit of so you put the sun-dried tomatoes in there too.
Yes.
All right. Now I'm just going to level it out with the spoon before I put it in the oven. Yep. Make sure you grab everything you can.
Yeah.
Yep, no problem.
Throw in the spices.
Mm-hmm. Now it doesn't have to look the best, and of course on this show some of the products don't. But this is going to be, in an hour, a wonderful looking cheesecake. Excuse me.
You can tell that this is basically very colorful. Very, very colorful. Okay. And so what we can also do, what I was talking about protein, was I could throw an egg in there.
Oh yeah.
And what I like to do is you know, everybody, we should get into the habit of doing this. And that is to crack the egg in a separate container before we throw it in. Just so we know if there's, you know, it's a bad egg or something.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
There we go. I found what I was looking for.
All right.
All right. After we clean up the board a little bit, just going to clean up my knife.
Okay.
And a quick rub of my cutting board. Now, what I have in front of me is just a regular zucchini. What we're going to do for this recipe is we're going to grab zucchini, cut it, just vici, rough chop, and slices actually, just slices of zucchini. Now I have a Santoku knife right there. You can use a chef knife or anything if you'd want.
Okay.
And we're just going to use just enough to get in the flavor. Now you want to add the zucchini early on in the dish, just so it doesn't appear crunchy after you're done cooking it and everything. Yeah, right. And we're going to do the same thing with pepper, cut in half. And you're going to get all the seeds out. All right.
All right.
Which is what we want to do. Just grab all the seeds, brush them out of there.
Now what I've done is I've taken the liberties to pre-cook some spaghetti. Pasta, angel hair pasta. Put that in a bowl. Okay? As soon as it comes to a boil, you want to test it out. The old adage, if you throw it up against the wall and it sticks, you know, we used to do that in college all the time.
Yeah, we used to do that on our babysitter too.
You know,
I know. Yep.
It's almost done. It's almost done. If it sticks up against the wall, it means it's very starchy and can stick.
That was a funny night. She decided she'd make us spaghetti one night, and it didn't last.
No?
No, it was all over the wall.
That's funny.
Now, I'm going to grab my boneless chicken, my cream. Yep.
This looks
Oh, yeah,
good.
it's starting to crisp up there.
Yep, and I don't want it to crisp, so that means it must be done.
There we go.
Okay, so I'm going to throw that over on there.
Excellent.
Okay.
While you're doing that, I just pulled out the chicken and the shrimp.
Okay.
Okay. So we can go ahead and it's boneless shrimp, and I picked 21, 25 shrimp, but 16, 20 works just as well. I wouldn't suggest going 8, 10, like the bigger shrimps. They're too big, and when I'm talking the numbers, it's per pound. So
Okay.
16 to 20 shrimp per pound, 21 to 25 per pound.
Okay.
It's just simply per pound.
So those are the number of counts per pound. Mm-hmm. So if it's something 16 or 20,
Yep.
that expects to be 16 or 20 shrimp per pound.
Exactly. Now, what I'm going to do is take the bowl that you've given me already, or the burner, excuse me.
Just kind of incorporate this in there.
All right.
Okay.
Now,
Sprinkle some more.
over a double boiler that I have set up, I'm going to pour in some chocolate semi-sweet morsels right there.
Okay.
Now, what those are going to do are those are going to melt, and as soon as the cheesecake's done, we're going to pour that up on the top. All right, so now I have my fresh vegetables all cut.
All right. So what I'm going to do, Art, I'm going to take, because this is basically done now.
Mm-hmm.
It's very hot. I'll get a cover for it. So we'll put it like that.
Yep. Now, chicken is the last thing that you want to do because it has the highest cooking temperature at 165. So anything you put on the board before this,
Yep.
if it has a lower cooking temperature, it's fine. If you put something with a lower cooking temperature afterwards and you don't wash it, that's where it gets problems. You might get all that salmonella or any other kind of thing that would not cook off with chicken.
So that's kind of interesting because I've always heard the adage, don't use this cutting board if you cook chicken on, cut chicken on
Exactly. Well,
which is
just,
true,
yep. And the bottom line, when it gets to the bottom line, it's just because of the cooking temperature. So
what I am doing is I'm cutting up some tomatoes for the bruschetta.
Okay. Now what I'm doing is just cutting up some of the chicken for our pasta dish over here.
Now I notice you cut a lot like this. And sometimes I have a habit of doing this. Which is a bad habit, isn't it?
The habit that comes from doing that is it's the way I hold my knife.
Yeah.
Now, we put the thumb and the pointer finger on both sides of it. Some chefs will cook like this. There's nothing wrong with that, but again, you might get carpal tunnel down the line, and you're less likely to get carpal tunnel when your arm is acting as one unit.
Interesting. And I don't want to do this. You keep reminding me about putting my index finger on here, and a lot of people, what happens is it slips off, and you actually cut your index finger. So the better way to do it is to do it like that.
Definitely.
But I have to keep reminding myself.
Now, while you have that going on, we are heating up the oil in this pan. I'm going to go ahead and just drop some of the chicken in there.
So I'm basically making a rough chop on these tomatoes.
Okay, now I'm going to
Chop.
set that aside. At the same time, we can go ahead and set this cutting board aside as well.
Okay.
All right.
Now the old expression, a brunoise cut, or what are some of those cuts? What are the differences?
All
I
right.
keep forgetting all the time. It's
Okay, so we have the Parmentier cut, which
Okay.
is a half-inch dice. We have the Macédoine cut, which
Okay.
is a quarter-inch dice. And then we have the Brunoise, which is an eighth-inch dice. And it's just the length of inches on each side of the piece.
Okay. So basically, I'm kind of butchering this on multiple cuts.
Yes.
Where it comes down to, I should have done a brunoise or something else, but I'm just going to have to overcut now.
Exactly.
But that's okay.
Now, for this, I got the shrimp peeled and deveined. You can grab the shrimp whole, and then it's just easy. Cut it right down the back. Take that little nasty black thing out, because we all know what that is.
Yep, just the vein. Yep.
The vein, if you want to call it. And then we have the tails on. Now, the tails, that's easy. Just poop. It's easy, right? They come off. And then you'll put them in the pan for that.
So basically, I can put as much or as little of any of these ingredients in here. Because it depends how many I want to use. So I'm going to get my nice tomatoes, throw those in there.
Yep.
And then from the tomatoes, what I'm going to do is get my onions, because I want a little bit of onion.
Yep.
And what you basically want is a good onion, not a very strong onion, because you're not cooking it. So people will, you know, they don't want to get over, it's like, whoa, what a strong onion.
Yeah,
you don't
exactly.
want that. Because this is going to be, you don't cook this unless you wanted to throw it into the oven and just have it like that.
Exactly.
You know?
Now, while you're doing that, what I'm doing right now is I'm actually just slightly cooking the chicken. You don't want to completely cook it through because you're going to be adding the shrimp and everything else to it.
Okay.
So, what you want to do is see how it's got that nice, there's a couple of pieces that aren't exactly cooked, but most of them are starting to brown up right now. Now, I would not suggest touching the pan at all unless you're a culinary chef or you've been in the kitchen for a while.
Yeah, the pan's hot. Yeah. So basically, what you're doing there is you've cut the chicken into, what, 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch cuts?
I've actually rough cut the chicken. So we're just messing around with it right now, letting it cook. Again, a little bit of salt and pepper wouldn't hurt.
Okay.
So that's what I'm going to go ahead and do. Add a little bit of salt and some pepper to the mix.
So I'm just still cutting up the onion. It's just that easy. Just cut it up. You want to make a nice small, you know, not a fat cut. And what we're going to do here is we're not going to put it in the oven. We're basically just going to have it so people can take and scoop it out and put it on some nice bread.
Why don't you use a nice sharp knife? It leads it's a little easier, again, when your knife starts to get dull at home.
Yep.
You can buy one of those $20 sharpeners. They have $10 sharpeners that I saw at Bed Bath & Beyond. Or you can go ahead and splurge, get yourself a little bit of, $20 item. They got it at any electrical place that you could go, any kitchen appliance store.
You know what's really funny? I was just talking to somebody, and I'm of the in-between generation, not quite old or anything, but I remember the old knife man coming up on a horse and carriage, going up the street and saying, "Do you want to sharpen your knives?"
Exactly.
And all the mothers and the housewives, because that's what it was, the dad's work and stuff, they would come and they would go out and the guy would sharpen the knife right then and there, you know?
And it wasn't a problem.
That was how it was.
Thank you, you know?
Yeah. So it's kind of interesting. You know, we've come a long way, baby, you know?
Oh, yeah. You know? Now, what I'm doing is just adding the shrimp right now. Again, I'm taking the tail off. You can leave the tail on if you want to for visual purposes once it's all set.
Okay.
But then again, I mean, you know, I just like to get straight into eating and just, you know, don't even worry about picking the tail off. Let's go. Where's the fork and knife?
Yep.
You know?
Yep. All right.
All right.
So what I've done is I've got some fresh basil. And basil is very easy to get. It's very fresh. A lot of times you can still have it in the supermarket. You might pay a little bit more than the dried up kind, but that's okay because it's worth it. And then, so I put some basil in there. And then what I like to do is to take the fresh mozzarella.
Yep.
And just take that and look just how delicious that looks. Just nice fresh mozzarella. And just kind of pan type of carrot. So you know how it's getting the same type of, not a uniform, but just a small enough piece. So it won't be all over the place, or it won't be like a big blob when people put it on there.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
You know?
Now, what I'm doing right now is just taking the shrimp and just cutting it in half. While it's in the pan, it's really easy because the shrimp is cooking. It's going to become a lot more pliable right now. And so then you have, and it cooks faster. You know, if you got hungry people waiting, I know we got a few in the audience.
Yeah.
You know, then we're going to be able to feed them that much quicker if we cut it in half.
So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take some balsamic vinegar and I'm just going to pour it in. Okay. And then take some olive oil and pour that on it. You know, the olive oil is the good type of fat, if you will. You know, as opposed to a butter, which is nice dairy and stuff, but the olive oil is
Okay,
good.
now, over the double boiler, I have already started to melt the sauce a little bit. So what I'm going to do to make it so that when it melts, it's still usable, I'm going to pour a little bit of cream in there. Okay? So that way, when it hardens up a little bit, excuse me, a little bit of specs right there, we're going to still be able to use it on top as a sauce.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay. So what I've done is I've seasoned this with salt and pepper, and then just basically let it kind of marinate itself into a nice, absolutely delicious smelling bruschetta. And the only spice I used was basically a salt with the #1 spice used in the world, which is
Pepper.
pepper. Very good.
That's right.
Very good.
So believe it or not.
Let that. Now, what you can also do is cut up. I use a nice baguette, and basically you can cut this baguette into 1/2-inch pieces. You can do it one of two ways. This is why cooking is just so much fun. I could take this bruschetta and just leave it as it is and let people scoop it out and put it on a uncooked, just regular baguette. Or I could actually use a piece of toast and then put this in here for in the toaster oven.
All right. While you're doing
what I'm
that, I gotta kick up the energy right now. I gotta do something. So I'm gonna throw in the zucchini and the pepper right now, and I got a secret ingredient here. It might end in KA and begin with VOD.
The vodka. Yep.
So basically,
Nice.
what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and, excuse me, drop a lighter and then pick it up and light it up.
Oh, very nice.
Now what's going on right now is the alcohol is cooking within there. And as the alcohol cooks off, all that's left is the flavor. Now, what you can do right now, if you want, add any kind of spices for it. And right now, it's done cooking. I'm going to leave it over there on high heat.
It looks really good.
And add some cream.
So what I've done here is I've turned around, honey, and just took the liberties of pre-toasted some baguettes.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Now, I'm going to take a little bit of marinara sauce, just for color. And we're going to go ahead and mix that in as well. Now it's going to turn a nice orange color. And as you can see, the red pepper and the zucchini in there have really livened up this dish.
Very nice. Now, is there anything I can be doing with the cheesecake or anything?
With the cheesecake right now, the sauce that's going on is now looking very nice. And we're going to be able to melt that right on top of the cheesecake. Okay.
Now I'm taking the liberties of throwing some on here. Okay.
Okay, through the magic of television and our oven, for that matter, we're going to be looking at a nice,
Maybe I'll plate up.
nice cheesecake. Look at that. Beautiful. All right, look how it puffed up and everything. It's looking real nice right now. Now, I'm going to take a little bit of that chocolate sauce.
That's good.
Just pour it right over the top. Okay.
I like how the raspberries are right in there.
Oh yeah, we're not hiding anything
No.
here. It's just
it's very nice.
all flavorful. And
Smells so nice and delicious too.
And what's going to happen is it's going to harden up. It's going to form a nice thick coating over the top of our cheesecake as well. Okay.
Looks good. Okay.
Now, if you want, you can coat it, garnish it a little bit. Garnishing, of course, when you decide to put something up the top or something that's just for show.
Okay.
And garnish it with a couple of raspberries. That's always all right.
So what I want to do is just have this out there, this ready. Throw a little bit of more of my Parmesan and my Romano mix. Throw that in there. Great for you and your pasta. We can throw it.
Yeah. Now, as I said, I cooked a little bit of pasta earlier, so we go ahead and throw in a little bit of that pasta. And that way we will have a wonderful dish. Now, if you need to thicken up the sauce at all, you can always do that. Again, switch when you need to between a ladle versus a spoon, of course. Save all that goodness.
Looks really good. So I think basically, we're at the point now where
we're ready.
I could cut into this cheesecake if I wanted to.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And then we're going to grab a little bit of the cheese just as the top and let it melt over. Grab a little plate.
Oh my gosh.
Scoop a little bit right over there. Oh.
I'm sorry. That's so delicious.
Oh yeah.
All right, so that's dessert. We got, what's the expression in the restaurant business? Plate up.
Plate up.
Plate up.
It's time for plate up. All right, now we have here. So I have my very own chicken and penne alla vodka.
Yep.
And that's, of course, that's the best. This is one of the best dishes we've ever made. Make it at home and just
that easy.
Just lay back and enjoy.
The very own Olio Primevera.
Absolutely.
Bruschetta.
The bruschetta.
Cheesecake.
And, it's the secret's out. There's my white chocolate raspberry cheesecake. All right. I'm Art Crandall.
I'm Art Crandall.
And that's Cooking with the Crandalls.
Thanks
we'll
a
catch
lot.
you next time.
Bye-bye.